probably should have pulled up the video first. Alright, let's go here. An hour and 8 minutes.
At Wells Fargo, direct deposits come up to 2 days early with early payday. What if everything came 2 days early?
Bada bing, bada boom.
The Cascade Mountains in Washington State, they're kind of an unpredictable place. I mean, the mountains themselves, they span over 500 miles. They go through like 3 different states, 2 different countries. They go through Northern California, Oregon, Washington,
Hopefully
all the way
these-
to British Columbia. It's not even
This
about
one isn't
the
as
mountain
graphic
ranges.
as the last few.
It's all about the trees. That's what it's known for. The park, the mountain range, they have these thick, dense trees. And every which way you turn, there's just more trees. They aren't even like the delicate trees with the flowers blooming on top with the tiny little tree trunks. These are conifer evergreen trees. If you've ever seen them before, I mean, they're massive. They kind of look like pine trees, but if you just shave off the bottom half and let them grow up to be like 200 feet tall, 20 stories tall. It's the type of woods that if you look away for 2 seconds too many, all the people that you came hiking with, they could disappear behind the massive tree trunks. The trunks themselves of each single tree are incredibly thick, about 9 feet in diameter. So that means if there's someone standing on the other side of a single tree just watching you, following you, listening to you, you wouldn't even know it. There are pictures of humans standing in the dense forests in Washington, packed with these types of trees, and it's terrifying. It gives you the same feeling those deep sea videos give.
It was a really cool to visit, I think.
But also beautiful, but terrifying.
I like
It's
hiking
one of the
and
last
stuff.
places that you would
mountains.
want to get lost at night. People have reported what it felt like to get lost in the woods like this, and they said that, you know, in the beginning, you feel confident. You're like, yeah, no, I'm headed right in the direction that I came from. You start overestimating how much each tree looks different to you, how distinct it looks. You start overestimating your own abilities. And then after an hour, you're sweating, you're panting, you're panicking, you're whipping your head around, all you see are more trees, and you realize all you did was take one big circle around, and you are right back where you started. And now the sun is setting. A lot of terrifying stories have come out of the Cascade Mountain Range in Washington. Sightings of Bigfoot, ghost stories, people gone missing. But more recently, one of the most terrifying stories to come out of the thick wooded mountains was that of Camp Keller and the monster that lived at the camp. About 25 miles east of Seattle, in like the middle of these trees, in the middle of a mountain. It's about an hour off the closest trail, so people don't dare venture off into this area. But if you did, if you looked really, really closely, you might see on the mountainside, there are some tree branches that feel really out of place. They don't look like they fell off the tree naturally. They don't look like that they belong there. It's almost like someone grabbed a pile of branches and piled them up on these random spots. It's so odd. If you walk closer and you hear all the twigs snapping beneath your foot, you would see a tiny wooden door underneath the branches. But that's so weird, because why would a mountain have a door? If you open the door, you would be inside the mountain. Welcome to Camp Keller. It is a bunker for the end of the world. If you were to make it this far into the mountains, the owner of the bunker would have likely heard you approaching and would have been watching you through binoculars, debating on what to do with you now, which is exactly what Chafee was trying to avoid. Usually, when Chafee was tracking humans, he would do it on his hands and knees. He would just crouch down onto the ground, staring at the muddy terrain, studying the surface for what he calls signals, which are track marks.
Chafee is a human?
Yes, Chafee's a human.
Okay.
Every broken twig, every boot print, he would be examining it. But Chafee and his partner wouldn't be able to do that today, because the person that they're tracking doesn't want to be found. So they dressed up as little tourists and they got lost from the main hiking trail. They look like a young, naive couple in the woods. They're stopping to take sips of their water while they glance around. They're taking pictures, reaching into their red backpacks for little snacks. But Chafee was experienced. 1 step into the woods and he knew that he wasn't alone. 5 steps into these woods and he knew that he was on the right track to find Peter Keller, the man who lived in that bunker. The man who had murdered 2 people in cold blood and was gonna do it again unless Chafee tracked him down. Peter Keller had spent the past 8 years building a secret bunker filled with weapons in the mountain. He had stockpiles of explosives, pipe bombs, ammunition, rifles, chemicals to create other weapons of destruction. He was gonna create a lab inside the mountain to study viruses. And he documented the whole thing in a series of vlogs. The videos start off very predictable. Peter would talk about how the building process was going for the bunker.
Today we're hauling up a 55-pound pack, basically a big bottle full of beans that's about 45 pounds, and some wine-making stuff, and then just the weight of the gun. And we've really got a lot of stuff up. We got propane, gasoline, food. I mean, basically I can last months up here without ever leaving.
He vlogged about what problems he faced when building a cabin underground. He never showed too much of the bunker itself. Maybe he didn't want to like give away his location, I don't know. But he would frame the camera at his face and you would just see the sky above him. And his hair was usually really disheveled from all the construction work that he's doing.
This winter's been pretty brutal. It's been really slowing me down. I was hoping to be done about a month ago, but it's just constantly snowed. Last month has just been really, really wet and rainy. Just couldn't do anything for a long time.
He also vlogged about why he built this fortress in the first place. He said it was because he was ugly.
What?
How did I get so fucked up? How did so many things go wrong? I don't think it's all my fault. I think it's more upbringing, family life. I was just too ugly. Nobody cared. I guess it's also because I don't have anything. I never did. No money. My looks are horrible. I've tried to make it in this world, and it just isn't happening. I'm 40 now, and I am running out of time. I'm getting to the point where I'm just trying to live and pay bills and live as a civilian and go to work. It just freaks me out. It's actually more comfortable for me to think about living out here, robbing banks, pharmacies, just taking what I want for as long as I can. At least it'll be exciting. It won't be boring.
He wants to rob people?
Yeah.
Businesses?
Yeah. He documented how
That
he
went-
planned to
that
kill
went
2
south
people
quick.
in order to move into this bunker. He talked through his own feelings and thoughts about the double homicide that he was planning on committing.
Well, before, a while ago, I used to sit here and think, this whole thing is just crazy. Now, I guess with time, I just think that way all the time, that this is what I gotta do, that I don't even question it anymore. It just seems like everything makes so much sense now. Just the more I've thought about it, the more I understand it. I don't really feel bad about it. It's just the way it is. And I don't have to worry about Lynette or Kayleen. And everything will be taken care of. It'll just be me.
By the time Chafee and his partner were tracking Peter Keller in the woods, he would have already killed those 2 women. And he was planning to kill again very, very soon, unless Chafee stopped him. So they're tracking him, he's tracking them, and by the end, another person would be dead. This is the evil case of Peter Keller, the murderer who believed the world was coming to an end and that doomsday was approaching. Or so he claims. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Futures Without Violence, who has been fighting to eradicate family violence against women and children. They provide individual resources as well as legal change and advocacy. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated researchers and translators, and we would also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates of these causes. Now, as always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com, but with any case, if there's anything miscommunicated or any additional details that you may know, please let us know down in the comments. And with that being said, let's get started. There is a place in Kansas where you can buy a windowless condo. It's not even 2,000 square feet, it's about 1,820 square feet, and it costs $3 million in Kansas. Okay, love Kansas,
What?
but that is on par with Manhattan prices, if not pricier. You get no view, no windows even, or at least no real windows. You have simulated views. TV screens that look like windows with a little frame around it, but no real windows. Additionally, if you were to move in, you would be obligated to provide free labor for the condo building at least 4 hours a day. You would have to work for the building that you just paid $3 million to buy a unit inside of. You also cannot leave the condo building unless they give you permission to leave. You can't even move in anytime soon. Or at least probably not anytime soon. So you're paying $3 million for a condo with no windows. You can't even move in and use your actual condo anytime soon. And if you do end up moving in, you are obligated to work 4 hours a day and cannot leave without permission from the building. Who on earth would spend $3 million in a condo like that? Billionaires. Billionaires are lining up to purchase these underground condos in Kansas because they're bunkers. Rich people and their bunkers have been such a hot topic recently. I mean, the Facebook Meta founder, Mark Zuckerberg, has recently been in the news for allegedly building a 5,000 square
Creating a podcast or video interview often feels like a never-ending hassle. This changed when I switched to Riverside. With
foot underground shelter underneath his Hawaii estate. Allegedly, it's a bunker. It's said to have its own energy and food supplies and, quote, what appears to be a blast-resistant door. Look, we have no idea if this is true, but it's not that crazy if it is. I mean, wealthy people have been so very much into doomsday prepping and building bunkers.
Wait, so the Kansas City one that you're talking about,
Yes.
is it already being built or is it
It's built,
done?
or it's done.
Oh.
They have an indoor pool, they have gyms, they have shooting ranges, they have a full food supply. I think it can sustain all of the units for like 5 years. They have air filtration centers. It used to be a US missile silo.
So are there people
I don't think you can live in there.
it's only open when the time arrives?
Precisely. They have a pad for billionaires to fly in.
That's kind of odd.
And when the time comes, you go in and you bunker down.
Is it nice in there? Did you see?
It looks not that nice for $3 million. Yeah, for $3 million, it's crazy.
4 hours labor.
Yeah, you have to either help with the food processing or cleaning the filtration. Everybody has to hold their weight.
Wow. and it's sold out, I'm assuming?
There's only 2 on sale right now.
Wow.
The rest of the units, I think there's dozens of units, and this is only just one of the buildings that this company is doing. It's called Survival Condo. They have multiple multi-million-dollar condos.
Very nice.
2 left. Yeah, I think